Now, it's claimed almost half of UK teachers working from home are unable to teach effectively due to the lack of available technology. Figures from the Digital Poverty Alliance found that just 53% of those surveyed have an adequate home setup for remote learning, while only two-thirds have access to a laptop. And this comes, of course, as students around the UK await their A-level results following a difficult year due to the coronavirus pandemic. I'm now joined by Chief Executive of the Digital Poverty Alliance, Paul Finnis. He's joining me now. Thank you very much indeed for your time on Sky News this morning, Paul. This is rather worrying, isn't it? Just over half of teachers surveyed have an adequate home setup for remote learning and only two-thirds have access to a laptop.
I know, yes, it is extraordinary. And of course, it is, as you say, a big day for schools today. And we felt that everybody knows just how difficult the year has been for the last year and a half for teaching and learning. And I'd had conversations during the last year. I'm Chief Executive also of the Learning Foundation, which helped to set up the Digital Poverty Alliance with organisations like Dixon's and the Institution of Engineering and Technology. And one of the things that this head teacher said to me was that the children, her pupils were getting devices from all over the place, but her teachers were hobbling in, was the word she used, the phrase she used, with whatever device they might have at home. So we thought we needed to look into that in a bit more depth. And as you say, we did the survey a couple of months ago and found, I think, pretty much what we expected to find, which is that, you know, teachers and their families are no different from many families across the UK. You know, they're not well paid, as we know, and they work incredibly hard, so they need to be able to work at home. And what we asked them just 2 or 3 questions, and one of the questions was, do you have access? And hardly surprisingly, something like 95% said yes, they did have access. But then if you step in just a little bit further and ask them about the quality of that access, what you find is, just as you say, which something like half, nearly half, either don't have the right device or don't have enough access to data to get on and do the schoolwork that they need to do at home.
So has this had an effect then on them carrying out their roles effectively? One would think it's bound to.
Yes, it must have done, of course. And, you know, because we know that many schools across the UK really struggled with the move to remote learning during the last 12 months. But, of course, it's not just about remote learning. You know, we as an organisation believe very much that technology is now part of lives, particularly of the young lives that of school students. And so we see it as an integral part of the way that teachers teach and children learn nowadays. But and as you say, if a teacher doesn't have access at home, their choice is either then maybe to go into school where they might be able to find a device or borrow a device. But equally, I know that many schools are struggling with being able to provide all the devices they need to their teachers. And teachers, one of the ironies of this is that some teachers are being expected to pay for their own devices so that they can have access at home. But that's another expense on top of everything else.
And Paul, I think what's really interesting is that during the pandemic, one of the things we found out was that younger people had very limited access to laptops and adequate computers as well, didn't we? So then if you then add in teachers also struggling, that doesn't bode very well.
No, it doesn't. It really doesn't. And, you know, the reality, Vanessa, is that this is the 21st century. And I think that it's time that England particularly, I was struck by a letter that one of my ambassadors received yesterday from the Scottish Government, talking about their commitment to provide every school child in Scotland with a device of their own within the term of that current Parliament. And I would love to see England follow suit. I think the UK government, we're obviously talking to DFE and others a lot, and I know that their thoughts about that have changed over the last 12 months or so, where initially 1 device per household was felt to be enough. But of course now it's not. If you've got 2 or 3 children, that's not enough. And so it's really important that we commit now to enabling all children and their teachers to get online when and where they need to.
And Paul, if any teachers are sat at home watching, are there any schemes out there to help them at all?
Well, yes, there are. But of course, the issue is actually the size of the problem. I mean, I was delighted. We talked earlier on this year to Dixon Scarphone, who said, no, because I have to say the Digital Poverty Alliance is not just about finding gaps and finding problems and issues. It's also about doing something about those things. And Dixon stepped in and offered to provide 1,000 devices, 1,000 new devices for school teachers. But that's a huge cost. And it was amazing that they undertook it. So we'd love to challenge other companies and other organizations to help in that space. But ultimately, if we're to do that and do it well over the next few months, even next few years, then that's a cost and a size of a problem which really only government can cover. But yes, the teachers are welcome to contact us. I'd say that they need also to talk to their schools about this issue. It may be that their schools are not aware about the size of the problem. Certainly we, at the Learning Foundation, we've done work with schools where the senior leadership teams are amazed by how many children haven't been able to access a device at home. And so perhaps talk to their school, let them know that they have a problem there, and the school, I know, will do what they can. But of course, schools struggle the same as everybody with too much to do and too little money.
Absolutely. Paul Finn is from the Digital Poverty Alliance. Thank you so much for your time this morning.
Thanks, pleasure.